Hey guys, so Slater here. I'm going to be talking to you today about Carolina barbecue. And I chose it for a couple of different reasons. One, my family travels to North Carolina all the time for vacation. We know a guy that has a beach house, so we go all the time. Love it. Also, I didn't even know what Carolina barbecue was. I didn't know that was a thing. I knew about Memphis, Kansas. I didn't know about Carolina barbecue, so I just thought it would be a good learning opportunity as well. Now, I'm doing Carolina barbecue, but more specifically, I'm doing North Carolina barbecue, and even more specifically, I'm doing Eastern North Carolina barbecue. Because Carolina barbecue obviously is divided between North and South, but even North Carolina, the more western half uses a tomato-based sauce, and Eastern Carolina uses more of a vinegar-based sauce. And I'll pull up that picture right now for you guys. And one thing that I already kind of touched on that we've also talked about in class is how many different kinds of barbecue there are. And just in North Carolina and South Carolina alone, there's like 5 different ways of doing it. And it's just funny to see because during my research, you can tell that they're very passionate about everything. And it's kind of like a mini civil war between North and South Carolina about how to make their barbecue. Now, before I get into the history of it and kind of what it means now and why they, cook it the way they do, I'm just going to hit you with some overview points. So this is actually from my cookbook, which I will show a picture of right now. And those overarching facts are the meat must be barbecued, which is, low temperature for a long time, with smoke flavoring from hardwood or hardwood coals. And the meat must be pork. So that's a big difference I found in Carolina barbecue. North Carolina barbecue is because it's always pork, pulled pork, pork shoulder, everything is always pork ribs. It's always pork. And it's always served with a vinegar-based sauce. And for my primary source, it was actually Michael Thompson, who wrote a book called Everything But the Squeal, which is also a part of how they do it in Carolina. They literally use every part of the pig, so nothing goes to waste. Now, Carolina is known as the oldest form of barbecuing in the U.S., obviously because of the location and where it is in the country. Now, as far as when barbecue came to North Carolina, it was actually back in 1585, was the first time that we hear about it. Sir Walter Raleigh actually sent one of his men, John White, over to the coast of North Carolina to, just check it out, see what's going on. And while he was there, he found some Croatan Indians. I think I'm saying that right, but I'm going to check that. Actually, I should check that for Croatan Indians that were actually barbecuing. And I'm going to put that picture in right now because he actually sketched it. Now, what's important about this picture is that it actually shows, the style of barbecuing. They were suspending in this case it was fish. They were suspending it and smoking it. And John White actually took note of this, and he was talking about how they were being very careful when they were cooking it, how they were taking their time, which is actually, I'm thinking, a lot of where the way we cook barbecue now comes from, because he was, obviously he was pretty impressed with what he saw. I mean, he took the time to make that picture. And so I think that's where the origin of slow smoking, at least for Carolina barbecue, comes from. And obviously they don't use fish, they use pork, but that's what it was in the picture. Now we go from this, and this guy is taking the news back, and he's, telling everyone about it because he's obviously pretty impressed. And people start getting inspired. And at this time in eastern North Carolina, there's a lot of pig farms. And so people are taking this style where you suspend it and, use the smoke to cook it for a long period of time, and they're saying, hey, this stuff's pretty good. And it just kind of took up a regional theme, and it hasn't actually changed much over the years. We've talked about how barbecue, the culture, is kind of a pushback to our ever-changing tastes and the foods we like. So it hasn't changed much over the years. And so now I'd like to talk a little bit about why that region uses what they use in their barbecue. So obviously the 2 main components that make it unique is the vinegar-based sauce and the fact that it's basically exclusively pork. Now this is because largely, as I already said, it's the oldest form of barbecue in the U.S. So they were a little bit more limited back then. Also, we have read in our books that especially back before the Civil War, you were very limited by the ingredients around you. So The sauce is very simple. It's 5 ingredients. Basically, it's the vinegar, it's cayenne seasoning, and it's like salt and pepper. That's basically it. And I mean, obviously, there's the like the brown sugar, but it's a very simple sauce. There's not much to it, but it also is very flavorful and it absorbs into meat very easily. So I think it was just easy and delicious. As far as the pork goes, obviously there was no shortage of pigs. So I mean, it was basically the ease of ingredients around you, and they made it into something delicious. And I'm very happy they did. And while I do love pork, I will say my favorite part about Carolina barbecue is the sauce, which is so simple. And to show just how easy it is to make the barbecue sauce they're talking about, I literally just 5 ingredients, boil it, and store it. It actually tastes better if you store it. I'm going to make a run to H-E-B and actually prepare it. And I will include a picture of all the ingredients I will be using and all the steps I will be taking. And I'll put that right now. All right, I'm out here at H-E-B, about to go in and get everything I'm gonna need for my Carolina style barbecue sauce. Now the key to any Carolina barbecue, or specifically Eastern North Carolina barbecue, is apple cider vinegar. This will be the base for our sauce. And also, what we're gonna need is some tomato ketchup, conveniently in the same aisle. Thank you, H-E-B. The next ingredient on our list, that one's a little chunky, is some brown sugar, courtesy of H-E-B brand, which is actually all of our brands so far. We have 2 Hill Country Fare and 1 H-E-B, which is all owned by H-E-B. The next, we're gonna kick it up a notch with some cayenne pepper from our nice seasoning rack right here. Anything you need. I'm not trying to endorse H-E-B, but. And the last ingredient we will be getting at H-E-B is crushed red pepper. Now, everything else I need to cook it, like some seasoning, salt and pepper, and some other basic ingredients, are gonna be at my apartment. So see you there. So I just got back from H-E-B, and originally I was going to include me actually preparing the Carolina barbecue sauce and eating it with some pulled pork, but I am running out of time, so that's not going to happen. But I will prepare it later and eat it, and it will not go to waste. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and it was a fun project.